let's go ahead and get started. We are talking about Breakout EDU today. We're going to talk about all things Breakout, so both physical boxes and digital games, and get you guys everything you need to know before the school year begins so that you can think about how you might implement some of this stuff in your classroom. I am recording this session, so if you want to watch it later, you can always find it on our YouTube channel. Yesterday, we sent out a message to all teachers about the PGP form. So obviously you guys are attending this live, but you'll want to make sure that you fill out that PGP form. We're going to do a prize drawing on August 6th. So all PGPs need to be in by August 5th to be entered into the drawing. We will be giving out PGPs through the end of August. You just won't be eligible for the prizes. And then the recordings for all of our sessions for the whole summer will be always available on our YouTube channel, and we'll continue to promote those things. So as we get started, just take a moment. I want you guys to open up the chat and just introduce yourself. Let us know that you're here, and we will be monitoring that chat just to answer any questions that you might have. One of the biggest questions that we'll get, and I won't actually give you the information during the session, is how do I get access to the BreakoutEDU platform? So for the platform, we do have a TSC account. Because I'm recording this session and posting it on YouTube, I would rather not just tell you guys what the login information is. So I'm going to follow up in an email later and let you know what that login information is. You can always email our team and we'll give you that. But we do have a few years of digital access for BreakoutEDU. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So talking about BreakoutEDU, we're going to just go through a few different things, how you play BreakoutEDU if you've never done it before. We'll give you a little overview of the physical kit. So I actually have a kit here with me today. So I'm going to go through a few of the locks and some updates, especially if you've haven't done BreakoutEDU in a little while. We used to have wooden boxes, and now we have these really nice kind of tough plastic boxes, and these are available for you to check out. And many of our buildings actually have BreakoutEDU kits already. So we'll talk about that kit overview, and then we'll go into the digital stuff. So a few years ago, Breakout introduced digital locks. And so how can we use that? Which is really nice, because if you don't have the time to reserve a physical kit, it's much nicer to be able to play those digital games as well. Then we'll look at browsing some of the games that are available to you on the Breakout platform. And then we'll go into game details and creating your own digital Breakout, which is a nice alternative to using a game that somebody else has created. You also have the opportunity to take a game and revamp it or change some things. So if somebody else has already created a game, you can just copy it and change it and kind of customize it for yourself. So as I mentioned, there are really two ways to play BreakoutEDU. So there is the physical box. Again, you can check those out. We have 6 available at central office. I will, in addition to giving you the login information for the BreakoutEDU platform, I will also show you how you can book the kits for this school year and how you'd be able to get those. We will deliver the kits on Monday and we'll pick them up on Friday. The only thing that we ask is that you reset the locks or leave them open so that we would be able to reset those. So that's really important. Of course, if you have any questions on how to do that, or if you need like a little rundown of switching the locks and stuff, we'll give you all of that information. We've done it plenty of times. But within each kit, you're going to get a ton of different locks, all the games that are made and available to you on the BreakoutEDU platform will use the traditional kit. So there won't be any extra materials except for maybe printouts, and they'll give you all of that stuff to print out. And then we'll also look at that BreakoutEDU platform, which gives us access not only to physical games and the rundown of those, but also digital games. And this then would be available to you anytime you want to do those activities with your students. So if you've never heard of Breakout, or if you're like, okay, I understand that there's a kit, there's digital games, what the heck is BreakoutEDU? It's like an escape room, but for the classroom. So students will solve puzzles, work together as teams. You could even have them work individually, but they're using maybe some knowledge that you've taught them, and they're trying to solve puzzles to then unlock boxes or unlock clues to then lead them to the next puzzle. So I'm sure many of you have heard of escape rooms. It's very similar to that. And again, it's all contained within your classroom. So it's a really fun, engaging activity. It's a great way to review content for students, introduce content. You can really do it anytime during your during a unit. You could also just do it as a team building activity. If you're in charge of maybe the student council and you want to get them some team bonding, a Breakout EDU game just might be the answer for that. So we'll look at all the game types that there are available to you, but just know that you really can make it whatever you want it to be. And it can be something that is educational, and it can be something that's non-educational, and both of those things can kind of work together. So that is really the overview of Breakout EDU. So what's included in the box? So as I mentioned, there is a large Breakout EDU box, and this is really like the final product. So the students are solving puzzles and things, and they're trying to get this box open. And typically what teachers will do is inside this box, there will be a little piece of paper, maybe some candy, that says, "We broke out," or something like that. "We won." And then that box is usually closed up with what we call our hasp. So let me get this out. So this is a hasp, and you can see there are several spots for different locks on here, and we just put that on the box, and then we take our locks and we hook them up. So you set the locks yourself, and then we hook those locks up. So how do you set up these locks? These locks are directional, alphabetical, or color locks, and they can be customized, and it's actually super easy to customize them. All I have to do is twist. I take off the end, and now you can see I can take these rings off, and I can actually customize what the code is to break out of this lock, as well as changing out the type of lock. So if I need a color lock or a directional lock, this one right here is a letter lock. And we have in each of our kits, we have 2 locks that are like this, and then they can be customized to whatever type you need. So this is probably, to be frank with you, the hardest part is figuring out what your locks are going to be. And a lot of those games are going to tell you, but then going through and actually setting those locks. So this is where I've helped a lot of teachers, is just the setup of the boxes. And then within that big box, you also get those rings, and this is what you can use to customize it. In addition to those, we have 2 number locks. I'm sorry that I'm banging things around over here, but I've got 2 number locks, a 3-digit lock and a 4-digit lock. And then we have key locks. What we recommend is let the students find one of these keys, and you keep the other key just in case, right? We always need a just in case. But we've got that lock with our hasp. Within each kit also, you have things like a red lens viewer, invisible ink pen, and a UV flashlight. So it kind of, I like to think of it like spy school for the kids, right? So you have all of those things, as well as a little USB drive. So that might be something that is included with the kit. And then we have a little small Breakout EDU box, and all of our things are labeled so that we know this is box number 3. It goes with, this is key number 3, and it's going to go with the big box number 3. So we try and keep everything very organized. We also include reflection cards. So you can see the deck of 4 C cards. Those are reflection cards. You will get hint cards that are laminated, and then you will get a piece of paper that says this. So this is really helpful with little kids. So once they unlock a lock, they leave it unlocked and they put it in the parking lot so that we don't lose these. Inevitably, somebody ends up resetting one of these locks or something like that. So we try and keep it all organized so that we get all of that stuff back so that the next teacher can use it. So that's what's included in the box. As I mentioned, at Central Office, we have 6 of those. Your building might have some as well. So some of you have been here for a little while and you might already be aware of the fact that your building has some. If you are a new teacher, please ask your principal to see or send an email to the staff and say, hey, does anybody have Breakout EDU boxes? Because I'd like to try that with my class. Okay, so going to the digital breakouts. So those are physical breakouts. We have boxes, we have locks, which is a very fun, it's a nice activity to just kind of get the students out of their chairs and things. But we also have digital breakouts. And these were actually super helpful when we went to remote learning because students could actually do this wherever. You could also do one of these over Google Meet, something along those lines. So with the digital breakout locks, we'll get 5 different types of lock, and you can do as many and whatever combination of locks you'd like to. So you can make a text lock, number, directional, shape, and color. And we'll take a look at what those look like. But these are going to be the lock types that will be included on a digital breakout game. So those digital breakout games might be made for you already, or you're making your own, and these are the locks that you could add to your game. So it's just good to keep that in mind, what type of lock is available, so that when you're creating puzzles and things, you know what kind of answer students should have. So let's go ahead to the Breakout EDU platform and start to browse some of these things, because it can be really intimidating when you're thinking about starting fresh, like starting completely blank. You've got no clue how to make the puzzles or handle the locks or anything like that. So I would recommend, if you've never done a breakout game, start with the games that are pre-made for you. Try those out and see what you like. See what works for your students. So I'm going to switch over to the Breakout EDU platform. And as I mentioned earlier, I will give you the login information for this. I'm not going to share it over the Google Meet though, because this will be posted on YouTube, but we'll give you the login information so that you have access to this platform. And you can see that I can browse the games here by category. So I'm just going to go into elementary. Although it does look like we have quite a few secondary folks. So I'll do a secondary one as well, but I'm going to go into elementary, and then let's do elementary science. And then I can see here that I've got, these are going to be now my games. So I'm going to get a card that shows me what the game is, the name of it, the topic, and then it'll say like content area, recommended ages. And then if there's any like national standards that are covered within that game, that will be included here as well. Additionally, you can see in the top left-hand corner of the game card that this is currently a digital game. If I scroll down, it will also tell me if there is a kit required. Now, if I'm looking specifically for, I really want to do a game that requires a kit, up here at the top where I could search for keywords, I can also choose kit, and it's just going to show me the ones that would require that physical kit. So I'll scroll down and we're going to do Apollo to the Moon. I can see that the content area is Earth space. It's small group. The suggested time is 45 minutes. I would say, in general, 45 minutes is about how long it takes to do a Breakout EDU activity. So just keep that in mind as you're planning things. 45 minutes is pretty standard in there. Now, if you're going to customize your own game, you can be flexible in that time if you want it to be shorter or longer, but typically 45 minutes is what you're going to get. Okay, so we scroll down, and what I love about this is that even if I've never done a breakout game before, it gives me everything I need. So it gives me a story, and this is what I would read to my students. So it's just going to give me some background information. It's going to tell my students what their mission is for the day. And then it also says here at the bottom, you have 45 minutes before the doors open for you to give your big opening ceremony speech. Great. So they know they have 45 minutes, and I would read this in front of the class. Then I would let them go. Speaking from experience, this is the hardest thing, is to watch your students struggle. To say, okay, start, and they have no idea where to start. But honestly, I think that's probably a good thing for some of them. You're not giving them like, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three. You're allowing them to kind of move through the process of thinking through these puzzles and just trying things out. So it's just a really fun activity. But honestly, as a teacher, and especially if you're type A like me, you want to be able to control it and you want to be able to help them, but you really got to let them struggle through some of these things. Okay, so then I go to my lock combinations. And this is, again, going to be helpful for me as the teacher. As I am setting up my locks, I need to know what are the combinations that I'm going to have to use. So it looks like I have a 3-digit lock, a 4-digit lock, and then a color multi-lock and a directional multi-lock. This is always going to be included view lock setting tutorials. And this is going to show you a video of how to actually set up those locks. So if you have any questions about that, I would refer to those tutorials. We typically try and send a link to this as information with each of those games. And then setup instructions in here. And this is, again, fantastic. This is a quick 5-minute video of the person who made the game actually explaining how to play the game. This is so helpful. And I actually typically watch this more than one time just so that I know exactly what to expect as students are doing this game. And then I'm going to access my game resources. So let me pull that up. Many times this is a Google Drive folder, and all of the things that you need will be included in that folder. So I can see it's still loading here, but there are some printouts. So it looks like I would probably have to print those things out. There is the mission that we saw at the beginning. There is also a breakout sign available that I could put into the box, but these look like things I probably need to print out. And if I go back and watch this video, I'm going to see all of those things referenced in there. So I would know where to put them, when to do that. Many times you would have to print out some clue and put it inside this box, or the key might go inside this box. It doesn't look like we used the key this time, but maybe a clue would go in here. So you would need to know like what clue needs to go in here, or what clues maybe need to be set up around my classroom. And then we also have, and this is additional in here, there are some reflection questions. So it'll give you questions that you could ask students to help them reflect on playing this game. All right, let's move on then to a digital breakout game. Let's look at what these look like. So I'm going to filter it a little differently this time. I'm not going to use these cards. I'm going to use this filter right up here next to the word go. So if I click on that, it gives me more options for filtering my search. Now, what I will recommend is that if you're, let's say you're teaching 4th grade or 5th grade, don't just look at the elementary breakout games, look at the middle school breakout games too, because they might be appropriate for your students. So don't always take the grade levels as like the law that you have to stick within that grade level, because I think depending on your students, you can go one way or the other and kind of go around the boundaries of your grade level. So I'm going to go to some upper grades. Let's go to like 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I did high school here. I can also type in like a keyword if I'm looking for maybe a specific unit or something like that. I can type in that keyword. So again, I can see that I have kit required here, but we're going to look at a digital game this time. So I don't know that we have any foreign language teachers in here, but one thing that's awesome with Breakout EDU is there are games that are in other languages, which I think is just a really cool way to learn a new language or to review a language. So I'm going to pick this one just because I used to teach high school math. So A Day at the Carnival. So it looks like math and exponents is what we're going to be looking at. And down here, I have very short story. lock combinations. This is going to be super helpful because again, my students are, I'm not setting the locks this time, but my students are going to be opening up this game. And then I need to maybe help them, give them some hints and things, but I always recommend doing this. I would play the game before you have the students play the game. Trust me, it's going to be more helpful if you see where did you struggle and where maybe would they struggle? What kind of clues could you give them? Again, I'm going to get a game explanation down here at the bottom and then reflection questions as well. So something that's different with this one is that we don't have a game setup because there is no game setup. You already have the game. It's already ready for you to go. So again, if you're looking at like, I just want to do something quick, or I've got a little bit of space after a unit, we want to review some things, a digital breakout game might be the answer. You don't have to worry about booking a kit. You don't have to set anything up. It's ready. So I'm going to click play game. And it's going to pull up that game for me. And that URL that I have at the top, so you can't see it right now, but the URL that I would have at the top address bar, I can just copy and paste that into Google Classroom, into Canvas, wherever I want to communicate that with students. The other thing with this is many of the games are going to be small groups, but they could be individual games or whole group games. So I've seen kindergarten teachers use this as a whole group activity, have the students working together. So it doesn't always have to be small groups. You can kind of decide based on the game difficulty and your students, how do you want them to complete the activity? So again, I can see here, I get the game set up. So really with this one, it looks like my students might be able to do this on their own. So I might say, hey, early finishers, I want you to go through this breakout game. And when you get to that I broke out page where you actually break out of the game, call me over and you'll get a prize or something like that, right? So then it says select your first lock to begin. So up here at the top, I'm going to select those locks and it's going to give me the clues. So I know this is probably very hard for you to see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see here, these are my clues. These are the darts, and then I'm going to take that dart, shoot it, and where does it land? So it looks like for this one, I have to plug in the number 1 for N. I'm going to shoot it, and where does it land? What kind of lock was this? It was a shape lock. So again, I'm looking for what are the clues that are going to show me how to solve this puzzle. I go to my number lock here. Again, I've got my combination down there at the bottom and back up to my directional lock. These images were created by whoever made this game. So they made their own images, they added in their own clues, and then they chose the lock combinations. And I can always get back to the story if that's going to give my students more information, but you can see here that it's very easy for the students to kind of navigate through these things. So digital breakouts are very, very easy. The prep is not time consuming. It's just a matter of finding a game that you like. If I find a game that I like, but I need to change it a little bit, or if I'm totally honest, I find a game that I like, but there's a mistake in it, which might happen, I can also copy this game. So if I choose to copy this game, it's going to go into the TSC account for games. So I can say view copied game here. And now what I'm able to do, see a day at the carnival. Now what I'm able to do is actually edit things. So if I need to edit this answer, any of these answers, if I need to edit the story, I'm able to do that now because it's a copy of this game. I'm not actually editing that. Yes, Emily, that's a great question. So she asked, since it can be small group, can you have multiple groups running at once? Absolutely. And honestly, multiple teachers could be using these games at the exact same time because that link isn't collecting any data about the students. So keep that in mind as well. If it's going to be something that you're going to take credit for, you want the students to complete it and then maybe submit something. Maybe they complete it and then they take like a screenshot of the last page and they submit that to Canvas, something like that. Or for you, Emily, you're first grade at Klondike. So for you, they could be completing it on their iPad, right, as a small group. And then they could, take a team picture at the end and submit it, something along those lines, right? If you're going to actually have them do this individually, but multiple students could be working on it in different locations. It is also something, honestly, that you could send home with families and say, hey, as a family, if you want to do this activity, Woodland did that last year. Woodland, for their Title I night, actually sent home breakout games for K through 2 and 3 through 5 and told the families to play this together as a family game night. So something fun to think about, that there are plenty of ways that you would be able to use this both in and outside of your classroom. So that's our platform, how we browse the activities and how we find games that are already made and already available to us. All right, so let's say you have done a pre-made game and you are ready to dive into making your own games. So we kind of already went through the games, but you're ready to create your own game. You have thought about it, you've thought about the puzzles, or you're going to do it as a grade level. All the first grade teachers are going to create a game together, and then the students in each of their individual classes are going to work on that game. Obviously, you can create your own physical game and get our boxes at any point and just know what kind of locks are available to you. So the physical games, you can do that whenever and be able to create those locks. But I'm going to look specifically at creating a digital game. So there's 3 types of digital games. The first one is a single lock, which I think would be really good for younger students, just one activity for them to complete. It might be a good introduction to Breakout, right? And it's not as frustrating as having to complete multiple locks. It also, for our secondary folks, could be a good bell ringer. So maybe you give the students some kind of puzzle and then they have to use a single lock to actually complete the bell ringer. We can also do a non-sequential game. So that means that was like the game that we already looked at, right? I had 3 locks at the top and I could navigate through those 3 locks however I saw fit. And then finally, we have a sequential game. So each lock leads to the next puzzle. So the students have to solve them in order. This is really good if it's going to be something that will build on itself. Then we're going to have that sequential game. I would say the most popular is going to be this non-sequential game, multiple locks in any order that the students would like. I would call the sequential game almost like teacher-led. The non-sequential game would be like student-led. So we're going to go back to our platform and I'm going to go under my account and I'm going to create a new game. So again, my account, create a new game. And then I'm going to see that page that we just saw on and let's just do a single lock this time. I probably should have prepped and done a lock, but we'll call this July 27th Breakout. So I'm going to create that game and I don't have to create it all in one sitting. It has saved this game for me. I can click on this auto save as well so that I can just make sure that as I'm building it, it's automatically saving these things. So again, I get those lock types that I saw before and I can kind of browse through these. So let me look at the text lock. Remember that I always have a setup, a story setup, and that's where I can copy and paste that here. I can actually type it in there. If there's any lock clue, I'm going to add that information in here. So I can add an image, which is what we saw on that previous game. I can add text. So maybe it's something that they need to read and they need to pull out the information from that text. Or I can add a video. So maybe they watch a YouTube video and there's a clue within there that gives them the answer that we're looking for. And then finally, since this is a letter lock, here's my options for letters, obviously all 26. And then we can get up to, let's see, 10 letters. So the word cannot be more than 10 letters long. And I can clear those. It's very easy to create this lock. It also doesn't need to be 10 letters completely. So there's my boilers combination, and that's what the students would have. If I come back up and I switch to a number lock, I'm going to get another combination option there. Directional lock, which is going to be like up, down, left, right, and our combination. Shape lock has a circle, square, triangle, star, and rhombus or diamond. And then our color lock, these are going to be our colors. So again, things to know before you go and make a game, you need to know like what's available to you, right? Okay, so we're going to do a text lock for our game. And my lock setup or my story is going to be you're heading to college. Where do you land? Something along those lines. And the text, so the lock clue is Purdue University mascot. And we'll make our combination Pete. I can change the background. And then I can also change the end of lock reveal. So let's talk about this. Again, holding the students accountable. I'm thinking about my secondary teachers in particular. So when the students begin this lock, you want them to submit something to Canvas when they're finished with their breakout activity. So you could, of course, have them see the BreakoutEDU congrats message. That's fine. You can also include an image. You could include maybe a keyword, and that's what they actually submit to BreakoutEDU, or you can reveal like a video. So maybe that's the next activity that they do is to watch a video. So I'm just going to keep it to the BreakoutEDU congrats message. If I want to add a timer, I can do that as well, which is going to actually cut the students off at a certain time. So I'm going to add a timer for this one. It's just a single lock. So we'll go with 5 minutes. And then I can choose, I'm going to just choose save and exit so that I can show you how to get back to that. Okay, so it's giving me all of my information so far, but let's say I need to get back to, I did not finish my game. I signed back into BreakoutEDU. How do I get to my game? So I'm going to go back to my accounts, and under my digital games, that's where that game will be stored. What I recommend doing if you're going to create your own games, and you can actually see it in our list of games for some of these here, a day at the park, and then it says WES. That means Woodland played this a day at the park game. So I'm going to choose a single lock here. And that's where my game was, and I can play it. I can also share this, and that's where I get the game URL. Great. Copy, put it into Canvas, put it into Google Classroom. I get a game embed code. Canvas users, this is an alert for you guys. I can copy and embed the game on a Canvas page. So there's actually, or even on a Canvas assignment, right? And then the students actually submit something at the end of that assignment. We can also, this BreakoutEDU tag, we don't typically use this very often. You have to have the BreakoutEDU app, which we don't typically make available because we can do everything through that game URL. But I can share this in multiple places. Classroom is the breakout classrooms, not Google Classroom. So most of the time we're going to be sticking to this top game URL. So I'm just going to click play, and we'll see what my game looks like. So here's my wonderful July 27th breakout. And it says select your first lock to begin. And you can see up here at the top, I did not have this before, but I now have that timer. So that's a little ominous, right? I'm going to go to my ABC. Okay, here, this was the text. So it gave me some information. You're heading to college. Where do you land? And then maybe I added the text there, but maybe I could have also added like a picture of Purdue Pete. But I know that the answer, let's actually do this. Let's misspell Pete. So it's going to tell me, nope, try again. I got it. Congratulations. And you broke out. So then I'd be able to, if I wanted to, I can take a little screenshot of this and send it to my teacher. Since I had that timer up there at the top, it lets me know that it only took me 44 seconds to complete my own puzzle. So I feel really smart over here. But then I get that little breakout game sign and I can submit that to my teacher if you're looking for, or students can just kind of turn their device around and show you that they broke out.